If following video game media has taught me anything, it's that nobody wants to talk about video games. Oh no, Game of Thrones recaps are where it's at. So that's what we're going to do from now on. The Jimquisition is a Game of Thrones recap show, not a video game show. And with that in mind, oh my god, can you believe what happened? I cannot believe that fucking Ned Stark is orchestrating the whole thing, and they took his head and sewed it onto the Mountain's head so that he's running around calling himself Ned or Clegane. That's amazing! Also, I can't believe that people got their tits out and we saw a bit of a penis. So that was incredible as well. Game of Thrones, that happened, and that was the season finale, wasn't it? So I guess it'd be video games next week. Unity is a good engine. A damn good engine, in fact. You know, I've been meaning to say that out loud since January, because over the months of covering terrible games on Steam, it has to be said that I may give off the impression that Unity engine is a load of fucking crap. In fairness, Unity has been used to make a load of crap, an inordinate amount of crap in fact, to the point where one can be forgiven for making jokes at the engine's expense, like I've done before. It was so buggy you could be forgiven for thinking that Unity was referring to the engine it was built with. Sadly, the engine has found itself with a questionable reputation off the back of these awful games using it. I've seen people in the comment section of my YouTube channel actively slagging Unity off, remarking how they cringe when they see the engine's logo on games because they're expecting something dreadful. Even I, someone who acknowledges Unity's benefits, find it hard not to roll my eyes when I see it in conjunction with yet another stock asset hack job or glitch-laden zombie apocalypse survival clone. And that's a sad thing because of this. That's Max and the Curse of Brotherhood, a pretty decent game. It's not brilliant, but it's a fun enough puzzle platformer, and it looks fucking gorgeous as far as I'm concerned. Now that's a relatively humble example of what Unity can do when someone with talent, artistic direction, and original ideas gets a hold of it. Unity's capabilities are staggering when you look at the range of games it's responsible for powering. It's one of the most flexible engines around, responsible for such varied looking games as Dungeons 2, Hearthstone, Pillars of Eternity, and Ori and the Blind Forest. Beautiful looking games in their own right and wildly different in terms of both visual style and gameplay. The ease of use and flexibility is, however, something of a double-edged sword. Because it's so flexible and intuitive, we get to go from something magnificent looking like Abe's Odyssey New and Tasty, which is, well, just bloody look at it, to something like Chariot Wars, which is, well, just bloody look at it. As much as Unity has powered some of the very worst games in existence, it's also at the core of some of my favourite releases in recent memory. Unity powers Grow Home, a beautiful little game and one of the few decent things Ubisoft has done lately. Unity powers Hand of Fate, a delightful choose-your-own-adventure card game RPG. Unity powers Ziggurat, a roguelite shooter and one of the best ways to shoot demonic carrots if that's what you're into. It's surprising to see that the same engine running the Slaughtering Grounds is also responsible for such critically acclaimed releases as Cities Skylines, Kerbal Space Program, and Endless Legend. But it speaks to just how much potential the engine has that you can go from the lowest of the low to the truly remarkable just with the infusion of time, effort, and talent. The awful, poisonous games most commonly associated with Unity are, sadly, not really Unity's fault. The engine's biggest blessing is simply something of a curse for the market overall, as it is by its own design completely open, simple to use, and offers pre-developed assets for amateur and professional developers alike to purchase and utilize entire systems, worlds, and mechanics before building whatever game they like on top of that. While the good craftsmen do indeed build their own games upon Unity's limitless foundation, a sad and significant population of alleged developers stop at the first hurdle, churning out pre-packaged guff with only the minimal amount of programming required to get the game to function. And even being functional is an option these days. In speaking with Dan Adams from Unity recently, I found the folks behind the engine are reluctant to limit what studios can do with the tools behind it. They believe very strongly in the democratization of game development and avoid even so much as criticizing the shitwheels behind such games as Temper Tantrum or the endless re-releases of the store-bought Unit Z asset pack. Unity, Dan told me, is there for anyone to create whatever they like. It's a noble ideal to be true, and one that has led to the creation of some truly fantastic games. Unfortunately, when you give an inch, there are plenty of piss artists ready to take a mile. We've seen this with early access, where a good idea has been exploited and abused by charlatans who think pre-alpha is an excuse to charge upwards of $10 for broken, content-free piles of garbage. Similarly, con merchants and untalented hacks with delusions of competence have used Unity's openness and asset marketplace as an excuse to release Babby's first video game as allegedly professional products. And this is really the responsibility of the so-called developers themselves, perverting the engine's rather admirable goals and dragging down the entire idea in the process. Hell, if anything, I'd say Steam shares more responsibility for Unity abuse than Unity itself does, since that's the platform that opened its floodgates and allowed half-baked games that would once have been private practice projects a shot at charging money, releasing as professional presentations things that should never have seen the light of cocking day. But breathe, Jim, this is a positive episode. We're going to be talking about the good things. We're not going to hang up on the fact that Steam is populated by a bunch of bone-idle lazy cunts. It can be hard not to associate Unity with tawdry drivel and ethically bankrupt games because, well, so many shit windows have used the engine as the delivery vehicle for their toxic waste. Unity doesn't police its users, and ideally, it shouldn't fucking have to. What it offers is fundamentally fantastic for games, and it's just wretchedly sad that so many shameless rectum merchants have taken advantage of it. What is important to remember, however, is that no matter how many piece of shit Unity games you see, that engine is more than likely responsible for a game you absolutely love. I've done a poor job communicating that fact, and I hope this goes some way toward fixing that. All that said, the sheer quality that can be achieved by Unity should only further condemn those individuals who actively choose not to put the time and effort required into making those games. When we look at what Unity is capable of doing, even with very small teams and even solo artists, there should be no excuse for the 6th or 7th wanker who re-uploads Unit Z under a different name and hopes nobody friggin' notices. Because we sure as shit have started noticing now, son. And there we are, after several weeks of delays after I said I'd do it, the episode that's about Unity being alright for a minute. How much fun was that? And we did it on E3 week because I can't be fucked to do E3 predictions and all that kind of shit. Not my bag. No, for me, E3 is a week of sitting on my fat ass, just snarking and being sarcastic and miserable on Twitter. God, I love E3, and thank God for me.